let's get started. Map 1, Clubhouse in the grand finals of our second Invitational.
Been seeing a lot of Clubhouse at this Invitational, likely because it's slightly out of the meta, yet it's the sort of map that you're going to set up a lot of strats going into this event. You want to catch people off guard. Seems like every team had the same idea. On the attacking lineup, Necroc's going to be bringing that Glaz, which is an operator who's seen a lot of play, but no follow-up in any other smokes besides Canadian on the Jackal, so no Candelas from Ying. Focusing on that roam clear, which is quite interesting given that this is a Clubhouse basement defense.
They'll start here. One of the benefits with how much Clubhouse we've seen for the other teams, the ability to dig deep into VODs. You will know that most of these strategies that have been run over the last 4 or 5 days will emerge yet again. We know that EG, while this is one of their stronger maps at the moment, has looked beatable. It'll be up to PENTA to be able to capitalize on that. A couple things to note about PENTA. Their versatility, not just on maps, extends to operators as well. With Pengu's at something like 15 operators so far this tournament, which shows a great deal of depth, not just from him as an individual player, but also for the rest of the team. They'll have him off-site playing Ella. Now, when I say off-site, it's Clubhouse basement. There isn't much off-site to speak of, but he won't be playing the typical anchor that he would along with Shate.
Early on, Canadians, Jackal, not going to be seeing any footprints given that PENTA is just primarily focused downstairs. They don't have any roam unless you count, again, that tunnel, which honestly really doesn't count in this matchup. It's going to be a specific point of contention for both teams because Tunnel has been favored by everyone playing on Clubhouse in this Invitational as a point to establish a crossfire over the anchors in Arsenal.
They'll do some drone out before they get inside of the building. Usually you'd say that Clubhouse is a map that you don't need to drone as heavily outside of basement because the assumption is that everybody will be down on the lower level. That was an assumption that Rogue made yesterday and was burned by it, as it was EG who started things off on Clubhouse with 2 roamers well above sight, able to take round number 1 away from Rogue because of it. So now both teams will be doing everything they can to ensure they know the location of the defenders. You see NBK still droning down for the rest of his team. That Jackal's going to bring some destructibility. No buck is a little bit unusual for this site.
They do have the shotgun from Canadians' Jackal, but it's not nearly as effective in this circumstance. There's so much floor and wall that needs to be opened up on the top floor to get those vertical sight lines downstairs. BC just going to be looking for all the potential electronics that the defense has set up to stall the attack and calling it out for his team. Canadian swiftly in towards the church wall, which is a very powerful position if the attack can open up.
A church hold usually involves a thermite not on the board at the moment. You'll bring that Hibana to be able to take care of all of those hatches. Canadian, though, will go to a drone a little bit unwisely on a wall that is set with a bandit shockwire. Takes some damage. He manages to spy the Jaeger of Goga, sitting just by the bar. Necroc's inside a tunnel, sees the Legion, misses it. Fabian gets the first kill. Necroc's just some poor aim, unable to take out the Legion who pushed up aggressively on blue. I wouldn't be too surprised to see PENTA start going for the frags, and they will. Shate eliminates Young. Now PENTA holds an advantage of 2. Smoke goes out onto the doorway, just inside of Moto. An angle being held right now is NBK being outdueled. That's a similar angle that we saw from Canadian that is now being used against them. Another smoke will go down. They will not be able to push through that main doorway. Shate a second kill, this time onto Canadian, and the push completely fallen out at this point. They have very little control, and BC still above, dropping down. We'll try to take out Fabian, still inside of blue. He's entrenched at the moment, sees his head. Would be a bad start to get flawless against them. Goga takes out BC, and flawless it will be. PENTA already a strong start on defense. EG gets nothing in round number 1.
Of course, with a basement Clubhouse defense, you'd expect such a result from a team like PENTA, likely to be reflected shortly by evil geniuses. As they go into the basement, it's going to be a much heavier smoke strategy from PENTA, bringing a Montaigne and a Glass, which is kind of interesting. You don't often see Montaigne used at all in the Pro League or at these levels of play. So where he sees use is going to be a point of focus.
I'm not entirely certain how much attention was brought to it. When we saw PENTA play on Oregon the very first day of the quarterfinals, Fabian ran a Montaigne. That was a strategy that they came up with as they were waiting to walk out to their machines before the first match. It's a strat that was invented quite literally on the spot. That's a key component of why Penta is so good, is how quickly they will adapt to different teams and be able to come up with strats that work on the fly. This is something that Wilkie highlighted on the analyst desk. Basically a dream team of European players all assembled together with incredible potential.
On the other side, you have Evil Geniuses, also a dream team, just from a different region. North America, an amazing squad that was assembled by Canadian in the earlier stages of Rainbow Six. Both of these two teams, technically not the oldest in our Pro League, but the players themselves have been around since the start.
This mirror strategy being pulled out by EG is one we've seen them run in previous seasons, in particular the last. Instead of bringing a blitz down Dirt Tunnel, it's going to be a Montaigne, as was highlighted by you yesterday, Kix. Necrox is very strong, playing at the elbow of Dirt Tunnel. Right now, Fabian will see him. The drone just getting hung up inside of the razor wire. One thing that Rogue was able to take advantage of was exhausting all three of those toxic babes. Necrox had to fall back to sight at that point, in which case EG got pushed and were completely run over. You've already seen one go out now. Montaigne is a slightly different operator than you can see of it. But Necrox, wow, Pengu drops his shield, and Necrox playing inside a Dirt Tunnel leads things off for EG. Their Dirt Tunnel push, you've got to think at this point, falling apart. They will move. You can see pressure from above. Likely now we'll see something go towards potentially blue or even side of Kitchen Hatch. So Fabian sees Necrox, the smoke uncontested, and Fabian off the board. It was 2 first kills for Penta, and now EG reciprocates.
Necrox absolutely on fire, almost no utility wasted. Still 2 gas canisters there for the smoke. So he's going to be able to stall out this last half of the round. Penta, meanwhile, are out of 1 hard destructor and their primary push through that tunnel. So in a bad spot, they're going to look to open up the drop downs at the very least.
Still have a Glaz watching from above. Holes in the floor opened up by the Buck will allow the Glaz to be able to get a couple shots in. Also some longer sight lines inside of the actual arsenal room that the Glaz can stay at. But you can see 2 members of Penta moving down towards the bottom of the stairs. That'll be a very good opportunity for the Glaz to see all the way into the eastern side of the site. We saw that BC was playing there behind one of the armories. Young takes out Shate. It's going to leave just the Glaz as well as the Hibana, who sees the mirror. A great shot by Jonas takes Young's head off. And now he has control just of the one wall with 2 mirrors next to Church.
Attackers have looked.
Goga pushing into the side, gonna get taken down by BC, who goes for the double and gets it! Eunice eliminated, and Evil Geniuses take their first round of the series.
What a great play by BC just to track them. There was no answer there. A big miscue from Pengu to be the one to try to take out that barbed wire, and an equally good read from Necrox to push up and capitalize. You don't take out that Montaigne that early, and your job of defending that tunnel becomes so much more difficult. If that goes completely different, the smoke loses all of his grenades. That means that area of denial is gone for EG. They have to collapse and give up a huge portion of the site, in which case you would imagine what we saw from Jonas was when he got to the bottom of the stairs, there would be too many operators cramped in one area. Even one rotate would be easy pickings for the Glaz.
You know, the interesting thing is you don't have to have your Montaigne melee the barbed wire in the tunnel. You can force out the defenders in tunnel and then have a later attacker clear that barbed wire out. And if that had happened, Necrox wouldn't have been able to secure that double kill, and I think by extension, the round. Now bar defense here from Penta. Now this is the bomb site you don't expect to win on the hold, but Penta going to be going for it, obviously, nonetheless.
5 seconds left.
Reinforcement, interestingly, going down in the stock drop down. That means Pengu is not going to be able to rotate out of the B bomb site. Possibly Penta expecting Evil Geniuses to anticipate that drop, possibly putting an attacker downstairs to catch them.
Most of what we've seen from EG attacking this site has been situate your Glaz and your Capitao right at that doorway. Can't really get a lot of value out of those fire arrows as well as those smoke arrows from Capitao if there's a deployable shield in the way. As you mentioned yesterday, they are direct impact. So you can shoot them at walls, you can shoot them at the ceiling. It differs from typical and traditional smoke grenades. NVK, what a shot! Jonas off the board! The Bandit tries to peek, and it only takes 1 as now BC goes on to Goga, and in 40 seconds, Penta already down by 2. They'll take control of Strip. And you can see a push from the main door means that the rest of Penta will have to consolidate. EG going for a strip take this time. So the traditional stock push that we've seen of them, not right now what they are favoring. That's a good change, and that'll catch teams off guard, as it seems to have already.
It's really just choose whichever you're more comfortable with. NVK gets a second. Shate eliminated now, and Penta not looking very strong on this far hold. Pengu going to be throwing out the gas canisters towards pool table, pushing aggressively, trying to even things out. Not going to get BC. It will in fact be the other way around, and now Fabian, the last defender, has to deal with an attacker coming from above. Here's the drop from the Buck. Cannot hit the shot. The shotgun from Canadian. Doesn't even need to use the rifle. Evil Geniuses win their second round in a row.
And a flawless round 2. Was it me, or did it seem like there was a bit of nerves on Penta there? There were two very easy situations that they completely misread. Not entirely certain what their thought process was. They'll pull back a Monte. Now, when we were in Year 2, Season 3, LAN Finals in Sao Paulo, it was this exact site and this exact map that ENT, who would later go on to win that seasonal championship, managed to successfully execute a Montane push onto stock, which is not something that we see all that often at this time. It could be something that we could have Penta now trying to execute against them if they think they're still weak on dealing with that.
It's a very old strategy, Montane execution on the stock. It's been there since the very beginning of Siege. Even before he had the side flaps, people were trying to execute that exact strategy. Even before smokes were as efficient and big as they are now, people have been trying to go for the Montane plant inside of B. So it's to no surprise that ENCE would go for that and manage to successfully pull it off. But it's a huge risk, and I'm not sure that it's going to work for Penta Sports, as the Montane that we saw last time from them didn't work at all.
BC has been almost exclusively running Echo on this site every single time. That would work very well against Monte. Of course, one blast from Yokai drone, the Echo's drone will drop the shield of a fully extended Monte. Instead, BC's going to go with a Valkyrie, which suggests to me that there's going to be a lot of heavy rotations and not so much of a static defense that we've seen from Evil Geniuses before.
Eunice going to be opening up that front door using his glass, going for the similar angle as what we saw from NVK last round.
You see Disruption moving itself up over by Stock. They have managed to all completely close in on it. You hear the Montane, the Twitch, the Zofia all aligned, and Goga not too far off just by Kitchen.
So clearly a Montane push onto B. Buck just by construction doorway. Necrox is going to get aggressive on him, hit by the lifeline, will down Goga and secure the kill, only losing about a third of his HP. Still has 2 gas canisters. Necrox playing phenomenally so far in this match.
Young, who was so hot in the quarterfinals, cooled off yesterday, but Jonas just by the main door, he'll behead BC. The Valkyrie down amidst the smoke, takes some damage, but Jonas gets away with just a tiny bit of health. Good mobility from him in order to get out in time. But behind the Montane, there is a plant going down. Necrox tries to come out, but a good read. Canadian and double will stop the plant in its tracks. Shate eliminating Necrox as he tried to push out, and your diffuser is once again down. But NVK looking the wrong way, not expecting Shate to be there. 2-2, Canadian takes out Shate. It's the glass of Jonas, who's only on 1 shot, goes prone, a 4K from Canadian.
Canadian breathing it in already early on in this best of 5, feeling very comfortable to win it all.
There is a belief at LAN events that the longer that the team known as CTM and now known as Evil Geniuses play, the better they get. They have looked so far like they are completely outfoxing Penta, a team that has only dropped 1 map so far from the group stages and quarterfinals onward. That was, of course, to EG, and it was done so on Bank.
We do have Bank to be played in this best of 5, but it was not EG's pick. So a basement defense now from Penta. This is the only site they've been successful on, the only attack that they have been able to dissuade. We'll see if they're able to do it again. Evil Geniuses bringing Necrox on the glass. They don't want to bring a shield, which makes sense. It hasn't been working for Penta so far. I'm kind of interested that it's a Montane rather than a Blitz. Either way, though, and to struggling with that strategy.
5 seconds remaining.
Young opting for the Blackbeard. We'd seen him on Blitz a couple times yesterday. Not the most success out of that, so I think they'll try to go with the DMR, which seems to be at the moment one of the best weapons in the entire game. You have the Blackbeard situated inside a dirt tunnel. He can hold a long angle into blue and essentially cut off complete control of the back of Arsenal. It's a strong position to be in.
Clearing out that ambient noise, Canadian moving into strip. He's going to go towards bar, and it's just going to be, you can see the drones right there on your screen. They're just trying to establish that there are no roamers from Penta Sports, and that's a good protocol to execute. There aren't any. Pengu is in construction tunnel, but hardly a roam. We also see Fabian trying to aggress on these main stairs. Very dangerous position to play, especially against Evil Geniuses, who will always open up the top of those main stairs, the floor there, to establish the sightline and deny that push from Fabian.
You see Canadian flexing onto the Hibana. The Jackal wasn't all successful last time. So it was the round that Penta won. It was also flawless. They didn't lose a single soul on that team. Their push came together.
You can see Canadian just trying to open up sightlines, as previously stated, onto the bottom of these main lobby stairs, so they can execute properly. Fabian holding on to it though. He wants that kill, just trying to disrupt the push as much as possible. EG has been pretty proficient in terms of time. There is a pre-placed C4 there in the main hallway, likely gonna be able to detonate that, possibly get a kill. Construction tunnel has been opened up by EG, and Necrox obviously going to be the player to try and push that in, as that is kind of his hometown.
With the lack of shotgun on attack as well. That was the one thing that the Jackal brought, was that secondary sidearm. It was going to be a bit limited in terms of what they can and can't accomplish inside of the kitchen. I wonder if that pressure will be a significant issue for them. Shate loses all but a tiny portion of his health. They had Young pushing inside of blue, as well as the Glaz inside a dirt tunnel. Does look like they'll reset Shate as well as Pengu, so that's two members of Penta who've been picked back up. I'll give them just a small advantage over where they were in terms of health that's left. NBK from this angle before got challenged, was unable to win his fight, but you can see that Penta is a bit more reserved. They're not going to peek those angles, because in order to expose themselves to NBK to get the kill onto him, they'll be showing to Young, the Blackbeard, who shoots. Jonas takes down Canadian. That is the Hibana. Now Pengu eliminating Necrox. A smart idea to reset him. BC down. Young gets the first kill for EG, but Penta right now in commanding position, as they'll need to get the Thermite back up. Neither member of Evil Genius in position to strike. BC finished off from below. The Blackbeard, no chance. Fabian eliminates him. NVK sees Fabian, lights him up, can't secure. They'll fight for the trade. They get it. And Penta holds on to win the round. Was 3 in a row for EG, but Penta able to answer back. And this site right now looking like their best option.
A much more even contest than the round score actually will tell you between these two teams. That attack from EG was much closer than the previous one. You can see that Penta, they're going to have to reevaluate a couple of their strategies moving forward. Potential rook coming from Young. That's an operator you don't see very often on the Church Arsenal room defense.
It was Canadian who I believe was playing the ACOG on site in the basement previously. So
yeah.
Once again, some more changes coming for them. They can go back downstairs, and Church Arsenal is where they'll go. They have it back unlocked after a successful defense on bar.
We saw a nice setup from Penta on the last round where they had that pre-placed C4 in the main hallway and a Legion Trap above it to try and detonate upon the Legion Trap being triggered. Well done, a good strategy overall from Penta, but they did not manage to get it executed before Evil Genius had already shot the C4 in the main hallway, thanks to NVK pushing downstairs. You could see that was obviously why Fabian was trying to play on those main stairs so aggressively, but just couldn't get it done.
Last time around, Penta had split their resources onto this site. They had 2 pushing in through dirt tunnel, and a really good play by Necrox was able to take out both of them and completely throw the rest of Penta into total turmoil, if I can say that word.
You got it.
I imagine that we'll see a dirt tunnel push as well, likely with the Glaz of Jonas. Fabian likely employing that Ying in the hatch from above inside of kitchen with Shate up there as well to put a lot of pressure on and move them out of the way of that hatch, giving a lot of space to the Ying.
I really appreciate that Penta isn't bringing the Montaigne and is instead opting to bring plenty of soft destruction in the Buck and plenty of smokes from both Glaz and Ying. They also have all potential hard destruction Goga and Pengu have brought the Thermite and the Hibana. That's going to mean they can open up the construction tunnel as well as the drop downs. Now, they have been pretty efficient in clearing out these roamers. Evil Geniuses just getting a little aggressive there. You can see the bottom of the main stairs, NVK waiting for a fight, but he's going to be called out, and it's unlikely that Penta will fall to that trap.
An opportunity now to maybe even use one Candela to try to get NVK if he can't get back to sight. And Kurzma Mina is very easily spotted. NVK and BC were both playing out of blue tunnel as Jonas surveys the site from above. He has that hatch open inside a bar, and that's a lot of opportunity for him to catch anybody from EG who decides to rotate. When Mine does detonate, giving off one of the attackers' locations to the defenders, as a second hatch now gotten from Goga. They'll get the one inside of stock. They have not been able to successfully open up Kitchen unless they hit the Thermite, use his exothermic charge. But he is now down in Memorial with one of the charges left. If he was able to see over that table, the legs would be spotted just inside of blue of BC, but no, Pengu's just gonna hang on and wait to see if somebody will peek him. Patience from the Thermite.
See a little bit of a dance there between Canadian and Pengu. Neither wanting to give away their positions. Penta trying to use the angle over the wall to potentially get those Bandit as he attempts to trick. It's not happening though. Pengu spooked by the shotgun blast. Just gonna hold passively deep inside of Moto. Reevaluating, it seems that a different call has been made from Penta as they are no longer going to be pushing that church wall, which appeared to have been their primary objective early in this round.
And they'll be stopped, even though they have that extra exothermic charge that Pengu wants to use. He's gonna need to manually get control of church itself before you can use it, because there's no way to get rid of those bandit charges. They'll now instead use it from above and open up the hatch inside of Kitchen, and here come the smokes. Rather, a frag grenade gets tossed out from Buck. Now the smokes come down, and Young very smartly retreats inside of Dirt Tunnel. 2 Candelas go down, a third now as well, and a swift coordinated push. Necrox eliminates Fabian, but Shate refrags Canadian down. But the Ying completely eliminated. It's going to be a gunfight as Young takes out Pengu. The glass pushes in, but too close range. NVK, BC, EG a flurry, and they'll go to match point.
Looking pretty bad for Penta right now, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is why you bring a Thatcher. The ability to get those bandit batteries and then open up the church wall as you clearly planned would have been oh so important.
Do you see what Jaeger just did there? His unique ability is that he can take multiple enemies in one engagement with his magazine. He's able to take both of them down.
Not quite Ella, but definitely close. And now Penta is going to be thrust onto a bar defense of all sites to try and deny map 1 going quickly in the favor of Evil Geniuses. This is looking very bad for Penta.
This is a map that I know that they have maybe been practicing on EG. Like I said, there's lots of videos and strats on it. And amazingly, EG suffered more against 1UP than they did against Penta. A very similar composition from Penta will be what they hope to rest on. I liked what EG did last time. EG has typically been attacking the stock room, so Penta stacks up on stock. They have the smoke of Pengu playing inside there, sets down a deployable shield, and ADS fully expecting that to be the push. And with a Ying in a glass, or rather, sorry, a Capitao in a glass, that would be your assumption. It looks like Penta's gonna do the same thing. This would be a perfect opportunity for EG to attack stock, imagining that Penta would put more resources now into strip, in case they thought it would be a second strip take.
Necrox's drone is outside of the stock doorway, and you can see 3 attackers spawning at kennels, which means it's likely that EG is going to execute towards the B-bomb site. As the marks come out, that will actually prompt Penta to their strategy. So they will likely adjust in but a moment. We still have 2 Penta members in Strip Club. They're just going to be holding firm, waiting for the aggression from EG. NVK likely aware of this as he opens up the front door, trying to deny rotation. Such an important angle, that front door, but it is a dangerous one to play. That's why you put your Ashe, or more importantly, your NVK on such angle.
It was also Penta who got a little bit too aggressive and tested EG by peaking on 2 separate occasions and losing both of those fights. That's something they're not going to do this time. That patience is going to not just keep them up in terms of man count, but also keep them killing time. EG is able to take the site much faster if they know that they have a numbers advantage. At that point, you fight for trades, or you're just simply able to overwhelm the enemies. Shate waiting to take out the drone of Young. See if he gets pushed. The Capitao will rattle a couple shots in through the open hatch, or the open hole in the barricade. There's one member of EG waiting. Shate is currently trapped right now inside of the closet.
There are in fact 2 people waiting for his rotation out. BC as well inside of the garage with Canadian to boot. Here comes the rotate. Shate goes down, and NVK in fact the 3rd member of Evil Geniuses waiting for that rotation. Catching out that roamer and picking him off. Now not much time left for Evil Geniuses, and Penta at a man deficit.
And now they have one less member of the defense sitting over by Stock. Let's see, appears to be Pengu, whose SMG-11 just barely and narrowly misses the Capitao of Young. He will have an advantage in terms of range due to that ACOG. NVK's second kill will get the Echo. That's his drone down, and now Young will put pressure on side of Stock. Jonas sees the Ash, Pengu and Jonas adding to it, and they'll even it out. This is still anybody's game. Now Goga under fire as the Thermite punishing him, and manages to down him, pulls out. There will be a second, but Canadian, they are 1 away. EG looking to take map number 1, and they are in good position. Final 40 seconds. Pengu inside of Stock, all alone. One smoke will go down onto the deployable shield, and now pressure will go onto him from above. Inside of Cash, that is the buck of Canadian. Pengu gets droned out, but BC just sees him at the last minute. He'll go inside a bar and wait. He knows that there's one inside a garage. No heads-up play by Young as he looks in, looking the wrong way. Pengu able to get out of sight. It's always frightening when Pengu's left in a 1v3 because he can absolutely clutch around for his team, but not today. EG says no thank you. Map 1 goes to them by a score of 5-2, and the crowd very happy about that result.
A pretty decisive victory there for Evil Geniuses. Almost a comeback there from Pengu, but the way that they played that last round was masterful. Just inching into the angles, not trying to engage full force, not rushing into the site unknowingly, barely taking enough ground to get those kills as Penta got way too aggressive.
They looked, frankly, a little lost at times. The way that EG was able to push, they were not expecting it. Now, this could mean that simply their counter-stratting wasn't sufficient, or it could mean that we saw different pushes from EG. We know this. They attacked from strip. That was something that we hadn't seen EG really do at all previously. They had been favoring the Stock attack. That's exactly what they executed in the last round. But at that point, NVK was a huge player in that, getting 2 kills to allow them to push the site with much more confidence. So map number 2 is going to be Oregon. This is a map that EG has struggled on as of late. In fact, they banned it yesterday after playing it a number of times in the quarters and even last season.
A lot of potential strats to be executed on Oregon. Could play into what Penta's been trying to do using that Montaigne coming from Construction Tunnel, but honestly, I feel like overall on Clubhouse, that the operator selection was what did in Penta. You really got to hand it to them on attack, picking just the worst possible operators for each of their attacks. I mean, we saw Thermite without a Thatcher when you're trying to open up Church Wall. We saw a Montaigne rather than potentially a Glass or a Blitz or a Blackbeard trying to push in through that Construction Tunnel. And the way it was executed was just poorly on Penta's side, which is odd. You don't often see that from them.